Hi guys, welcome back to part 2. So in this part we're going to do our boxer ears, our boxer arms and legs, and then we're going to do a boxer tail. Now if you watched my first one, you know that I did this tail for my boxer because my boxer actually has a long tail. For this video though, I'm going to do a short little stubby, which is what most boxers have. So let's get started. So I'm using a 5mm. This leg that I already built, this is what your leg is going to look like. I already put my sock on it. I don't know what color your dog is if you're making this to look like your dog. So I'm going to do my leg all in brown, but that's what the leg ultimately looks like, and we're going to sew it on so that it's movable. Now all this stuff I left just so I could show you that if you take a hook or something, those big scissors, and you pull all this out after you do your sewing, then it doesn't look as bad. I did that one wrong, but that's what your leg will look like, but that can all be pulled out and out so that your dog's legs are movable. So that's why they're built like this. So as funny as this looks, that's what it's going to be, and then this part will get all squished in like that. So it doesn't really matter how much you fill this part, it's going to get all pulled in. Now some people use rivets, but we've already sewn up the dog, so we can't use dull rivets. But I prefer not to spend the money on rivets because I think it's a waste of money. So that's what your dog leg is going to look like. So we're going to do those too. So mine is going to be, this one here that I do with you is going to all be in brown. So you want to make a slip knot. And you're going to chain, I'm going to turn my light down a little bit. It seems to be a little bright. I was using the black. I'm going to chain 11. So you want to do 4 single crochets. Then you're going to do 2 half doubles. Then you're going to do 3 doubles. And now you have 1 stitch left, and in that stitch you're going to put 4 double crochets. So pull your slip knot. So that's what you should have. So now we're going to turn it sideways. You're going to work into these stitches over here. So right next to your slip knot here, you're going to start with 3 double crochets. So right into the next stitch beside that slip knot. I'm weaving in this tail from my slip knot. That's why I said to pull it tight. So you weave it in, and then you won't have to worry about it. So 3 doubles. Although it does get a little annoying. Then you're going to do 2 half doubles. So we're just repeating the same thing. So you should be, it should look like a rib cage. You should be exactly on the other side of the stitches that you've done below. So now we're going to do 2 half doubles. Keep this loose or it's going to tend to roll. And then you're going to do 4 singles. Now I'm just going to let that tail drop. I'm not going to try to weave it in anymore. So 4 singles. brings you right back up to the tippy top. And that's number 4 right at the top. So we're going to use a stitch marker here just so that you understand what I'm doing, so whenever you want to do a foot again, you can do a foot again. Boy, that seems extra dark, doesn't it? There we go. So your next round is going to be 6 single crochets to start off. So this is number 1. This is where your stitch marker is going to go. If I can find mine. So that's number 1, right at the tippy top. I'm going to cut this off because I weaved it in, so I don't really need it to be hanging around. You're going to do 6 single crochets, so that is number 1, and that is in this stitch. So you got to come all the way over here to this stitch. Now a lot of people will make the mistake and go right into this stitch, but that is actually the stitch you're in. So at this part we're going to do across 10 stitches. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We're going to go from here to right across to the other side, and we're going to put 2 double crochets in each of those 10 stitches all the way over here. Two in the same stitch, double crochets. That's 1. That's 2. Three. 4. 5 takes you right to the tippy top. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. And your last one, 10. So that's what it should look like. Then you're going to do 6 single crochets. So again, we're just repeating what we've done over on the other side. Again, don't pull tight, keep it all loosey-goosey or your foot will roll. Which, I mean, it's going to anyway, but we want it to stay somewhat flat, this part. And that's my 6. So this is what you should have at this point. This is going to be the start of the doggy's foot. And I know this looks very strange, but this is what it's going to look like. So boxers have big back feet. So the next round is going to be in the back loops only. So these are your back loops. So they're standing right up, looking right at you, so you don't have to turn anything over. You just go right into there. We're only doing 1 round of back loops only. So it's just 1 single crochet in each stitch in the back loops only. So that's what's going to bring it from flat to this. It's going to help anyway. So you should have 32 stitches. So you should have a ridge around it. So you can turn it right side in now. So you should have this ridge all around. So your next round is just simply going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch, and that's the entire stitch. None of this back loop business anymore. So you should still have 32 stitches, or whatever you had. So 1 single crochet each stitch around. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease. So that's number 1, that's number 2, and then your decrease. So do this all the way around, and you'll end up with 24 stitches. So we have 24 stitches, so it should look like it's coming together like a little tiny shoe. So we're going to decrease, but we're only going to decrease around the toe area. So this is the heel area. So you're going to start off with 9 single crochets, so that's number 1 with your marker. That is 9 single crochets, so we're at the toe area. You're going to decrease the next 2 stitches, then you're going to do 1 single crochet, then you're going to decrease again and do 1 single crochet, then you're going to decrease again, and then you're going to do 7 single crochets back to your marker. So your next round is almost the same thing, but a little different numbers. First you're going to do 8 single crochets, because now we're smaller, right? We just decreased, so now we're a bit smaller. So you're going to do 8. That's number 1 with your marker. So this is 8, and that brings you back to the toe area. So you're going to do a decrease and 1 single crochet, a decrease and 1 single crochet, a decrease and 5 single crochets. You should have 18 stitches at this point. So we're going to decrease one more time because I need to have 16 stitches. So you're going to do 10 single crochets. So this is number 1. You can stuff this at any time. So that's 10. That basically takes me right at the toe. So I'm going to do a decrease 2 times right in a row. Decrease, decrease. And then 4 single crochets back to your marker. Alright, so now I have 16 stitches. For the next 2 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 16 stitches. And then we're going to increase. I know this seems weird. There's a reason for it. So next 2 rows, 1 single crochet in each of these 16 stitches, or you can just count to 32. And I will see you on the other side. So I stuffed mine, so this is what you should have. It should look like a little baby booty. Make sure you really stuff into the heel too. So that's my 2 rounds of 1 single crochet. So before we okay, so we're going to increase. Just a little bit. That's 1 single crochet, and then we're going to do our increase, which is 2 single crochets in the same space. And you do that all the way around. This brings you up to 24 stitches. And it is going to get squishy. But we need to start building for the haunch. That's what we're doing. It's a short leg because of his haunches, so he's supposed to be sitting down, right? So once you have your 24 stitches done, the next 3 rows is going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 24 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So that is what my 3 rows gives me. Looks like a little work boot. Again, you can stuff it anytime you want. So next round after that is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. So that's number 1. That's number 2, and an increase of 2 in the same space. So do this all the way around. This will bring it back up to 32 stitches. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. This will bring you up to 40 stitches. And then after this you can do 2 rows of 1 single crochet in each of the 40 stitches. That's number 1. 3 single crochets and then your increase. So this is what it should look like. We're going to start decreasing now. We're going to do 3 single crochets and a decrease. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets and then your decrease. This brings you back down to 32 stitches. So you had 40 when you did your 2 rows. You had 40. Oops. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease. This will bring you back down to 24 stitches. That's 2 single crochets and your decrease. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and a decrease. This brings you down to 16 stitches, and I would suggest you start filling it. We're going to do 1 more decrease after this, and then we're going to cinch the top shut. So that's 1 single crochet and a decrease. So you're going to do this for 2 rows, the same thing. So this one will bring you down to 16 stitches, and then the next row of 1 single crochet decrease will bring you down to 8. I'll put my screen up, and I will see you on the other side. So I am all finished. That is it. We are going to fasten off and cinch the rest of this closed. So you need a long sewing tail. I have no sewing tail on this one. I just fastened off and weaved it in. So for one of them you need a long sewing tail, and the other one you don't. You can just do that. So this one I'm going to need a long sewing tail. We're going to be going in and out of the whole entire body of the dog, so you need quite a bit. So we're going to cinch this shut. So you just need 1 piece like I showed you before. Did I show you before? Oh yeah, oh no, I didn't. I haven't. So you just need 1 piece. I don't remember if I showed you there. I guess there was nothing I could have showed you on in the first one. In and out. Might have too long of a piece. In and out. And out. So you're just going to do it till you come back around to where you fastened off. I've got 2 more. There we go. So just pull and cinch that shut like that. And you're going to come across because you want to secure it. So this loop, you can just go through that loop. Oh my gosh, I have a lot of yarn. So when you secure this, wiggle it back and forth. That tightens that knot right down. So because we're going to be going into the side of the leg, through the dog, and into the side of this leg, you need to move your yarn from here to the side of the leg. Wherever. The middle side of the leg. Something around there. Oops. I might have almost made a knot. What's going on? There we go. So that's what your top's going to look like. But it's going to get all squished when you start sewing. And I think that's pretty much the middle. I'm going to use probably those 2 stitches to go in and out. So go ahead and make your second leg. Now make sure you stuff it the same. And we'll come back and do the pads, and then we'll sew them on. Alright, so you're going to need your 4mm and black. If you're doing black, if you're doing a white sock and you want to just do the brown or whatever, but whatever color you're going to use for the pads. So first I'm going to show you the small little pads. I'm going to show you these guys. And then I'll have you make these two by yourself. These are easy and quick. And then we'll do this guy. So this one is just simply make a magic ring. And you're going to put 4 single crochets in here. That's it. That is your pad, your toesy pads. So go into the first stitch, slip stitch and fasten off. So you just need a tiny wee little sewing tail, but you still need a sewing tail. So as far as this guy goes here at the back, just tie a knot. When I sew these on, I actually use glue as well as sew them. Cut it off and leave a nubby. Sorry, I didn't adjust my light for the black. Let me do that. So cut it off and leave a nubby, and go ahead and make 2 more just like it, and then I'll meet you back here. Alright, so I got all 3 of mine all tied with knots, all cut off at the back, which we're just going to kind of tuck in and glue and sew to the foot. The reason I'm using glue, number 1, because of this thing, and number 2, I don't want it rolling up. I actually want it to stay flat. That's why. You don't have to. This is what I use. It's clear. You can also use fabric glue if you want, but this holds just fine, so that's what I use. The big guy. So you're going to make a magic ring. We're still using our 4mm. So this one I actually did kind of in a heart shape. Kind of. Let me show you. So it's kind of in a heart shape. So I did 1 single crochet, 2 half double crochets, 2 double crochets, pull this tight, 1 triple crochet, and then we repeat but backwards, so 2 doubles. It's hard to hold on to, I know. Just keep making your circle smaller. It's easier. So 2 doubles, 2 half doubles, and 1 single. And then 1 single. And we're going to pull our middle. Then you're going to chain 2. And you're going to slip stitch right into this center hole. So slip stitch into there. Pull everything tight and down, and then you can fasten off. So fasten off with the sewing tail. Pull everything tight. Now you can pull your middle closed all the way, or you can leave it open. And I tie these two, especially if I'm making a heart, because once you tie it, it kind of pulls it down in the middle. I have no idea what that thing is, but let's get rid of that. So it kind of just pulls it down in the middle. I just do a small double knot. And then you can just snip off your tail, leave the sewing tail, and leave a nubby, because again, I'm just going to use glue, so that'll get glued to the bottom. So that's that. Let's sew this on. Let's not waste any time. So get your little foot. You don't really need to pin anything. You can't really screw this up. So you can put the heart part down or the heart part up, but either way. So I'm going to put a dollop. So when I press down, it'll squeeze out. Oh, I'm not even showing you. I'm not even on camera. So I'm just going to kind of put it where I think it needs to be. Like I said, you can't really screw this up. So as far as sewing on a different color, there's plenty of ways to do it. The first way you can do it is to go into your stitch and just pop out somewhere. Now pop out into an actual hole, because you're going to want to go back down that same hole. So you go back down the same hole, but you pop out in the next stitch beside where you went down. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is, you know, grab and come up. I just go in and out. It's just easier for me. I'm not a sewer, so, and it's very hard on my hands, so I try to do it the easiest way possible, and that is the easiest way possible. You shouldn't feel this glue because we put it right in the center, but if you do, then oops, I don't know what else to say to that. If you feel it, then I'm sorry, you didn't put it quite in the center. Oh, and my thing may have, so my pad's not even straight. That's alright. It's just the bottom of a foot, so I'm not going to get too upset about it. Now you may not agree with using the glue, and that's fine. You don't have to use the glue. It's no different than woodwork when people use glue and then nail it. It's no different than that. It's just an extra hold, because you don't want this to roll up or look horrible or anything else. Right now it looks stupid because you don't have the toe parts on. So I'm done. I'm back around. So I'm just going to go pop out somewhere. Anywhere. I'm not going to bother weaving because I glued it, but I am going to just push down and cut that off. So I'm going to do each for my toesies. And I put some glue. Now this, you're probably going to feel on your needle. I'm going to put him here. So go ahead and sew your other two on. My next one is going to be up here, and then my next one after that's going to be, so I'm going to go up and then down like that. So that's how I'm sewing my next two on. I'll meet you back here. So there's my foot. Doesn't quite match my foot pad here, but that's fine, no one's gonna notice. So let's sew these guys on here. I have to raise my camera for this. Very hard for me to see what my camera is pointing at, so hopefully I'm in shot. Make sure I'm all the way zoomed out. Angle down a little bit more just to make sure I'm in the shot. So I've come out the side here. You need to determine where you're going to go in and out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe here. No, maybe not. 8, 9, 10. Maybe 10. 10 rows up. If I go in and out this way, so 10 rows up, that means he'll sit like that. So you have to determine where you're going. I'm going to mark this because I gotta switch needles. I'm not using this tiny wee little thing. So get yourself a great big needle. Actually, that one's longer. So you need a great big long one. I have a metal one, but it hasn't shown up yet. Shipping is very slow these days. So this one bends and I don't much like it. I wonder if I can use. This one doesn't bend as much. Yeah, this one might work. Just make sure it's going to go through your body. Unfortunately, mine are plastic, so somewhere around here. Yeah, that probably works. So figure out where you're at. Of course, these do not like to stay threaded. I think I might move over one more. I don't want to be too far back. I want to be kind of in the middle ish. Yeah. So you're going to go straight through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you're going to come out preferably in the same spot on the other side. So I'm not going to add my other leg yet until I pull this through. So now you kind of got to determine where on here. So mine is just the 4th row down. So then you go through your leg on this side. And now you got to go through all of it. So this is where it gets squishy. So hopefully I'm still on camera. So I'm going to go to my next stitch beside here. You don't want to use up too much of the space because I don't know if that's quite even. You don't want to use up too much of the space because I gotta really squish this. I gotta try to come out the other side around the same place. It's very difficult to do with a short needle, but mine just has not bothered to show up yet, like I said. So pull that nice and snug, and I'm going to go back and forth a couple of times because you kind of have to. You just got to make sure that you're coming out in the same spot. No, I can't seem to find my spot. I feel it. I can feel it. Yeah, I think I need to switch to a longer one, unfortunately. This one bends a little too much, but I can't seem to get through it all. So, no, I'm in the wrong spot. There we go. The rivets that you can buy are way simpler. You put them in as your animal is still open. So it doesn't have to be that tight. You can pull it back out. But that's the idea of what we're doing. And then your legs turn. But this can all be pulled back out. You can tie a knot, and I hope to God I was on camera for all of that. Rivets are very expensive, so this is why I chose to just not use them. So cut this off with quite a large nubby this time. And then you can poke this down And that should be fairly secure. As far as this, you can pull this out. Now I don't mind the look of that, but some people would. So this can just get pulled up. Now you're not going to get rid of it completely, but try not to pull too far because you don't want to loosen the how far you like you pull this to pull this tight, right? So you don't want to loosen up what you just did. You want that nice and tight. And there we go. Our legs are on and they are movable. So not that he's gonna really be standing up like that, but it's always nice to have movable parts. I squished my head. So let's get on to the front. Let's do the ears. Let's do the ears next because he looks pretty funny, and then we'll get the arms done. So the ears are done with a 5mm, and you're brown if you have brown ears. My dogs are kind of black and brown, but I'm just going to do them brown. So we're going to start with a magic ring and 6 single crochets. I want the ear pointy at the top, so we're going to start with 1 single crochet and an increase. We're not going to do that whole 2 in each stitch nonsense. So that's my 1 single crochet, and then your next gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. The next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. This will bring you up to 12 stitches. That's 2 single crochets and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. You can roll this over. So you're just going to do 1 single crochet in each of those 12 stitches. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. That's 3 single crochets, and then your increase of 2 single crochets. Your next round is 4 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring you up to 18 stitches. And then your next round after that's going to be 1 single crochet in each of those 18 stitches. That's number 1. That's 4 single crochets and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Or space. Repeat. So this is where we're going to start getting weird, but it's my channel, so weirdness just comes naturally. So we're going to do 7 single crochets. And then we're going to do 11 half double crochets. And the reason for this is because I needed a floppy sideways ear. So this is what it looks like when it's done. So it's a little weird shaped, but it's the floppy. That's how I get the big floppy sideways ear, which are these guys. So this is what my dog's ears look like. So this is how I got this look. So bear with me, I know it's weird. So 11 half doubles. So that just takes you back around to your marker, if you have the correct number of stitches. If you don't, it's no big deal, it's just an ear if you're off by 1 or 2. And that's my 11. So we're going to do this for 3 more rows. So we need 4 rows of this craziness before we move on to more craziness. Alrighty. So I need to keep doing this same crazy, but I need to increase while I do it. So this is what I came up with. I'm going to do 5 single crochets, and then the next stitch is going to be 2 single crochets in the same space, so that's your increase. But I still needed to keep doing this whole half double thing, so I want you to put 1 single crochet. Then we're going to do 4 half doubles. Then you're going to put 2 half doubles in the next one for an increase. So 2 half doubles in the same space for an increase. Then we're going to do 5 half doubles across 5 stitches. And then in this final stitch, you're going to do 2 half doubles in the same space for your increase. So this brings you up to 21 stitches. So your next round, you're going to do 6 single crochets. That's number 1 with your marker. In the same space, so in this next stitch, you're going to put 1 single and 1 half double in the same space. Then you're going to do 6 half doubles. Again, I'm just increasing. 6 half doubles, and then in the next stitch you're going to put 2 half doubles in the same space. Then you're going to do 6 half doubles, and then in the final stitch you're going to put 2 half doubles in the same space. So we are done with the crazy. You should have 24 stitches. For the next 2 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each stitch. So now you can see how this kind of dips down because we've done this half double for so long, it's raised up. So we're going to do extended single crochets. So that just means you're going to go in, you're going to pull up, and you're going to do your stitch. So by the second row, this should be all even. So go into your next stitch. So you're just doing 1 single crochet in each stitch. But when you get to your half double space. So when you get out of this little dip, you don't have to do extended stitches. It's only for this dip. So pull up, do your stitch. Pull up, do your stitch. So you're pretty much out of this little dip. You can just do regular. You don't have to pull up anymore. You don't have to do extended stitches. You just do regular. So by the time you're done your second row, that dip should be filled in. That's how we get around that. So if you any patterns asking for extended stitches, that's all it is, and it's written as ESC, and that just means extended single crochet. Or you might see EDC, which is extended double crochet. You don't see that very often though. I think I've only come across it once. It's just not something that you see very often, but you do see a lot of extended single crochets. So again, I still got a little bit of a dip, so I'm going to do slight extended stitches. I'm not going to go overboard, but that's the reason I did these 2 rows, is to give you an idea. I like to give you the opportunity to do the extended stitches and kind of even this out for the sewing process. So it's just a few that I got to do extended stitches on, and I don't have to pull up all that far. It's just a wee little bit, but that's what it is. If you ever see ESC written somewhere, it's extended stitches. So when you're done this, go ahead and make your second ear. I'll put my pattern on the screen, and I will see you on the other side. You can just fasten off with this, with the sewing tail. We are not sewing this closed. We're sewing it to the head open. Alright, so both my ears are done. I've got this one pinned to my head. These are not easy to sew on, but if you have markings on your head here and you're going to be adding them, then you're going to have to leave a space, obviously. But this is going to be very hard to show you on camera, but I will do my best. I'm not even sure if I'm on camera, but I'm going to do invisible stitches. I'm going to work this way because it's easier for me to be on camera. So I'm going to go into, and oh God, I hope I'm on camera, I can't see. I'm going to go into the doll, and I'm going to come up into that stitch. So that stitch is going to get sucked underneath, and you're not going to be able to see it. So you have to go in as close as you can to the ear, and then come up into the stitch. So you don't need a whole lot of doll. You just need a couple of pieces. People seem to think you got to go deep with your stitches, but you don't. You just need a couple of pieces of yarn from the doll, and then a couple of pieces of yarn from the stitch to have a nice solid piece that's not going to come off. So you don't have to go deep at all with your stitches. Pull snug. That one I only grabbed one piece of yarn, which is fine, it'll hold. So I'm just grabbing a couple of pieces, so it's almost like grafting. Well, no, it's not like grafting, but grab a couple of pieces of the, it's almost like mattress stitching. Grab a couple pieces of the doll. You don't need to go deep. That's just the point I'm trying to make. People think they gotta really dig into the doll, but you really don't. I've done plenty of dolls, as you could tell by my page, and I used to do that too. I used to go in thinking I had to go in deep and grab a lot of the doll, but you don't. So, sorry if you can hear, it's my cat eating. I'm in the basement now. I've made a room for myself in the basement, so I get the furnace noise, but it beats being, you know. So that's what your stitches are going to look like. It just looks like the top loop of your single crochets. So that's why they're called invisible stitches, because you can't actually see the stitches. They get sucked underneath. So continue doing that, sew your ears on, and I'll meet you right back here. So when I'm done, I do the usual weaving, and then I do my knot. Cut it off, leaving a nubby, and then poke that down. There we go. And my ears are on. So, oh, stuck. So this is what your ears are supposed to do. Just like that. Floppy floppy. So last, but oh no, we still gotta do the tail, but let's do the front legs because they're pretty long. So I'm gonna turn my light up. I'm going back to brown. Oops. It might be a little too bright. Okay. So let's go back to brown. Unless you have a sock on your dog's feet, you can start with white. I did. My dog has 2 white socks. He has 3. He's one here, one here, one here. And this is why I did him like this. But for this guy, I think I'm just going to do both brown. So this is one of his front legs. And it's just all brown. But that's how long it is. So I did not put pads on the front. You can make that decision yourself. I chose not to. I initially had, and it looked really stupid, so I took it off. So we're still using our 5mm. So you're gonna make a magic ring. We're gonna put 6 single crochets in here. So your first round is we're gonna get crazy again. We're gonna do some funny stuff. So your first stitch is gonna get 1 single crochet. So that's normal. Even for me. The next 4 stitches, however, are gonna get, no, sorry, I lied. The next stitch is gonna get 2 half doubles. And then the next 2 are gonna get 2 doubles, and then 2 half doubles, then 1 single. So that's how we're gonna play that out. So your next stitch is gonna get 2 half doubles in the same space. I forgot I had changed the design, because initially I did 2 doubles in each, and then it was 2 round, if that makes sense. So the next 2 stitches are going to get 2 doubles in each stitch. Then the next stitch gets 2 half doubles, so we're just doing backwards what we just did. And then your last stitch will get the single crochet. So we're shaping the foot right off the hops. Pull your middle closed. We're shaping the foot right off the hop. So just kind of turn it right side in. Your next round is going to be weirder. And do your 1 single crochet. The next stitch is going to get 2 half doubles. The next stitch is going to get 2 half doubles. The next 4 stitches are going to get 2 double crochets each. So you should have 8 double crochets. 2 double crochets in 4 stitches. Your next 2 stitches are going to be 2 half double crochets in each stitch. Again, we're still just shaping the foot. And then your last stitch will get 1 single crochet. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. So we've left crazy and we're going back to normal. So it's 1 single crochet and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And repeat. This brings you up to 27 stitches. So, like I said, you should have 27 stitches. And this is what it should look like. A little bit of cupping on the bottom, but you can stretch that out and kind of flatten it out a little bit. So, yeah, you should have 27 stitches. So for the next 2 rows, I want you to just put 1 single crochet in each of those 27 stitches. So you'll really see this cup. So we're going to start decreasing now. We're going to do 1 single crochet and decrease. This brings you back down to 18 stitches. So it's 1 single crochet and your decrease. And so after this, then I'll want you to do 1 single crochet in each of those 18 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. Oops, what am I doing? So I just put a little bit of stuffing in it. So your next round, so we're going to start, this is the toe, so the way I shaped it like this is the toe area. So we need to do 6 single crochets to get to that spot where we're going to, that's 6 single crochets, and then you're going to decrease 3 times in a row. Again, decrease, and a 3rd time, decrease, and then you're going to do 6 single crochets back to the marker. So that leaves you 15 stitches. So I want you to put 1 single crochet in each of those 15 stitches for the next 8 rows. Sorry, that's not true. If you're using white and then going to brown, you're going to do it for the next 8 rows, and then you're going to switch to your brown color. That'll make your sock. If you're doing it all in brown like me, you're going to do the next 21 rows of 1 single crochet in each of these 15 stitches for 21 rows, and then you can fasten off and we're done. That'll complete your leg. But if you've started with white to do a sock, then do 8 rows, change to brown, and then do another 13 rows to make your 21. And I'll see you on the other side. So that is my 21 rows. So this is what it should look like. So you got a little bit of a foot here. I am all done. I'm going to fasten off with a sewing tail for each leg that I made. It doesn't have to be much. We're actually going to we're going to whip stitch the top closed and sew it on like that. This is just way easier. And they kind of go in the front anyway. They're not really going on the side or anything because he is in a sitting position. So top off whatever stuffing you need to finish filling it. I think this is probably enough. So go ahead and make your second leg, and I will meet you right back here, and we can whip stitch this and sew this on. We got the tail and the bandana done, and then we're all finished this project. Okay, so you need to make sure this is on the side so you can whip stitch it closed just like that. So you've got to really be cautious of where this is, and then we're just going to whip stitch. So generally a whip stitch is back loop to back loop, but you can do this any way you want. You can go through the entire stitch, or you can do an actual whip stitch. It's completely up to you. I'm going to do a whip stitch just because aesthetically I like the look of it, and if this is going to kind of be out in the open where like it's right in the front of the dog, because the dog's in a sitting position, so I'm going to actually use a whip stitch just like that. So that's what it looks like when you're done. So to sew, it gets sewn. Now you can do it off to the side like this, which is how I did my other one. Let me show you my other one. So my other arm is actually off to the side because I have him sitting like this, turned, because that's how my dog always sits. I don't know if your BOXER's the same way. Most of them are. So I did one kind of over here like this, so his arms in the middle, and then his other one's over here. So I think I'm going to repeat the same process. So just make sure it's up high enough that his paw is sitting on the thing. Get untangled here. So mine pretty much, so I made it long enough that it should stretch up to the neck area. So you shouldn't, now this is going to be a little bit shorter down from the neck area, but I'm going to do invisible stitches again. I'm just going to go in, and it helps that I did the whip stitch because I'm just going to grab that part of it and grab a couple of pieces from the dog and go up into where I whip stitched. And again, this just gets sucked underneath, so no one's going to see it. So it does help to have a needle with a hooked end on it like that to be able to do this. So this is kind of down on a slanty slant because I want his leg in between his feet. That's just how I know a lot of BOXERs that sit like that, so I don't know if it's just a BOXER thing, but that's how he's going to be sitting. So you don't need to sew the under part of it because it'll look horrible and it'll make the arm stick up like that. So you want the arm to be down like that. So I want to get these corners. I want to really make sure I get these corners. So I'm going to go into this corner and I'm going to kind of pop out over here because I want to come back and get that other corner, and I really just want to make sure that these corners get pulled down really well. So I'm not quite where I need to be, so I'm just going to move my yarn. I'm not sewing. I'm going back down the same hole and I'm moving so that I'm closer to the arm. And now I'm going to go back into this corner, but I'm going to go that way and I'm going to pull it down just so the corners don't stick up. And I'm going to really give a nice snug pull, so it'll end up looking like that, which is a lot better of a look than having the square corners. And now you can weave in and out, back and forth, and then do your knot. Now if you pull tight, you can pop it out with your scissors. So tie your knot. Sorry, I'm really close to the camera. Snip it off so that there's a nubby. Now make sure the knot is fairly tight, but not too tight that it's going to get pulled through the stuffing. You need this to catch the stuffing, so you'll get used to what you need. So poke that down, pop your doll back up, and that's his one arm that you can manipulate. If you haven't put too much stuffing in it, you can manipulate it. So the other arm I'm going to sew on over here. So sew your arms on wherever you're going to sew your arms on, and I'll meet you right back here. So I got my arms sewn on. I know it's hard to see, but so the arms look horrible. It's really hard to make the arms look good, which is another reason why I decided to put a bandana on my dog. Two reasons actually. My dog wears a bandana, and 3, I wanted to hide, or not hide, take the focus away from the arms, because I'm not a fan of how they're sewn on. But I mean, what do you do? It's a dog. It's pretty hard to not get it to look like that, unless you crochet the arms on, which I could have done. I'm using this yellow. My last bandana was blue, but I'm going to use this yellow. I'm going to stick with my 5mm hook. This is a 4-weight, so you can decide what you want to use and what hook you want to use. Use the hook that goes with your yarn. So if your yarn is calling for a 5mm, then use a 5mm. If it calls for a 4mm, use a 4mm. We're not doing amigurumi, so it doesn't really, the hook doesn't have to be smaller than the yarn to keep it tight. So we are going to do a slip knot. You're going to chain 2. So we're going to put a point on this. Let me make this a tad darker because I'm using this yellow. There we go. So I'm going to chain 2. In the first stitch that you made, I want you to put 2 single crochets. I want you to chain 1, and now I want you to turn. So your slip knot is going to be now the bottom, is going to be the point of your bandana. In each of these 2 stitches, I want you to put 2 single crochets in each of them. We need to obviously increase right off the hop. So just make sure you're getting under that full stitch. It's a little awkward at first to start. Chain 1, turn your work. So now I want you to put in this first stitch, so pull this back in this first stitch, 2 single crochets. In these next 2 stitches I want you to put 2 single crochet, well, 1 each, so 2 single crochets across 2 stitches, and in this last stitch I want you to put 2. So now we're increased on each end and then just regular in the middle. Chain 1, turn your work. You should have 6 stitches. I want you to put just 1 single crochet in each of these 6 stitches. If you've watched my baby bib bandana baby bib, it's just about the same. So again, we're going to increase the first and last stitches, and we're just regular stitches in between. So this first stitch I want you to put 2 single crochets. Then I want you to do 4 single crochets across. And in this last stitch, I want you to put 2 single crochets. Chain 1 and turn. Again, 2 single crochets in the first stitch. Now we've got 6 single crochets to fill, so do 6. And in this last stitch you're going to put 2 single crochets. Chain 1, turn your work. You should have 10 stitches. You're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 10 stitches. Chain 1, turn your work. And again, increase. 2 single crochets in the first stitch. Now you've got 8 single crochets I want you to do. And then 2 single crochets in the last stitch. Chain 1, turn your work. And again, increase. 2 single crochets in the first stitch. 10 single crochets across. And in this last stitch, 2 single crochets in the same space. Chain 1, turn your work. You should have 14 stitches across, so I want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 14 stitches. Chain 1, turn your work. Put 2 single crochets in this first stitch. And now I want you to do 12 single crochets. And in this last stitch I want you to put 2 single crochets. Chain 1 and turn. 2 single crochets in the first stitch, 14 single crochets across. And in this last stitch I want you to put 2 single crochets. Chain 1 and turn. You should have 18 stitches, and I want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 18 stitches. Chain 1 and turn. So now we've got to make the ties. So chain 16. That's my 16. I want you to slip stitch 17. Yes, that'll make sense once you get back down there. So starting in the first one, slip stitch. Slip stitch all the way back down. So this is my 16th one. That takes me back down to where I started. And then I want you to go into this first stitch, and I want to slip stitch. So the 17th one is going to be right here on the side of your work. So after that slip stitch, you're going to fasten off. So you don't need a sewing tail, you just need a weaving tail. You're just going to weave these couple of ends in, and then you can just tie this to the back of your dog. So it's just a small wee little bandana. It's nothing too big. Just tie it in a knot at the back. So I know it's hard to see, but you can see your own, so you don't need to see mine. So the tail that I'm going to choose to do is going to be the short one. I put a long tail on my other one because my BOXER has a long tail. It was never cropped. So, but I just did, before I started this video, I just kind of wrote down a rough idea of what the short stubby tail is going to look like. So we may have to kind of play with it as we go, because I just quickly wrote it down. I haven't actually made one yet, so we're going to do a magic ring. We're just going to do your standard 6 single crochets, 2 in each space, blah blah blah. So put 6 single crochets in here. So I'm just doing this on the fly. I didn't really design my dog this way, but I know people's BOXERs have a short tail, so mine's an oddball. So let's do 2 single crochets in each stitch around. See how that works out for us. It should be fine. It's your standard, you know, regular pattern. Oh, I'm already snagged on something. There we go. So 2 in each stitch all the way around gives you a total of 12. And then I did 1 single crochet and an increase. This is what I wrote the pattern down for, but I don't know if it's going to be big enough actually, or maybe it's going to be too big. 1 single crochet and an increase. That brings you to 18 stitches. And in my mind's eye, while I was doing that, I thought, well, maybe that's too small, but we'll see how it works out. So, that might be wide enough. I'm going to say 3 rows of 1 single crochet in each stitch. Now if you feel that's too long, then just do 2 rows, but I'm going to do 3. I plan on putting stuffing in this, so if you've backed up like I have, you should have 18 stitches. So that's my 3 rounds, and I don't feel like it's big enough, like long enough. I think a stubby is longer than that on a boxer. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure a stubby is, I mean, that looks like a bear tail or something. So let's go 2 more rows, so that'll be 5 altogether, and see what it looks like. So that's 5. That's 5 rows of 1 single crochet. That might be okay. That might be okay. If you're happy with that, then you can just fasten off, and yeah, I think I'm fine with it. I could probably stand to do another row, but I'm not going to be that picky, really. So I'll fasten off here. So I did 5 rows. So we finally got the pattern. So you need a sewing tail. Sew it on open. If you wanted to sew it on open. As far as this guy, let's pull your hole right closed. Tie a knot. You don't want this, you don't want that to continue to open up on you, so you can just leave the tail. We can stuff it and then sew it to the dog. I'm gonna stuff after I start sewing. I'm gonna get a couple of, probably a quarter of it done, and then I'll put some of this stuffing in it. So I'm going to shove this in here before I go any further. Alright, that's my tail. I know it's really close to the camera. That's my tail. So, I don't know if it's in the right spot. Hopefully yours turned out better than mine. Anyway, it's hard to see this guy. Anyway, thanks for joining me, guys. I hope you enjoyed doing this boxer. It was tough. I kind of argued with myself back and forth whether I was going to do this video, because not everybody has a boxer that has the same markings. So that's why I kept saying throughout, I'm not doing the markings. You'll have to do the markings yourself. I don't know what you have. I don't know what your dog looks like. I just know what I did with my dog, but everybody liked it so much that I decided to do the video. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you in the next video.